Hi, everybody, and welcome to Queers and Soaps. We have a very special Pride episode for you tonight. We are covering our namesake, so to speak, Queer as Folk. So, I'm Tommy, and as always, I'm joined by Aaron.
Hello. Do you
I
like my
wanted to call
crown?
you something like the Queen or something, but I got tongue
I
tied.
know. It's like it was a say something crown day, so I had
and
to wear it.
we're talking about the pilot of Queer as Folk. I'm having trouble because sometimes I want to say Queers and Soaps. um, but we're also just talking about the show as a whole, pretty much. So roll the credits and we'll get into it.
I
So
remember
before we get
watching the
into the actual
show.
episodes that we watched, um, let's talk about our like journeys with the show, like how we
I was
found
about to
it.
say that.
So, you want to go first?
Oh,
How did
sure.
you how did you find out about the show? Get the show? Start watching the show?
Well, it was in 2000, so I would have been 12, which was not its 10, or I think would have been 12 or 13. That doesn't matter. Yeah, I wasn't in their target demo. Um, But I know we had we always had the premiere channels, like they had this came with the movie channel, HBO, Showtime Stars. So I remember probably seeing a commercial had to be what I saw. Or maybe I flipped over there and just saw two guys going at it. I was like, ooh, hello.
That was your
Uh,
sexual awakening.
but I remember watching it and having my hand on the remote that had the recall button that would take you
Uh-huh.
to the channel you're. So I'd
Uh-huh.
put it on like the Disney Channel or Nick at Night, and then I would switch over to Showtime. I would watch it, and then
Oh
if
my
I
god,
heard
that's how
somebody,
I would watch 90210 when I wasn't allowed.
I know it's strange how the shows you're recalling and the shows I am, because I remember that I had a huge crush on Justin Bryan, huge crush.
On both of them?
Yes,
Okay.
I like them both. Um, liked them as a couple, but 12-year-old Aaron did not understand that their relationship was not appropriate whatsoever.
um, wow, so you pretty much got in like season one.
Yeah, I didn't watch a lot of it, but I remember like two big things: the beginning and the baby being born. That's in Justin having his first sexual experience, and I
Hmm.
remember him being gay bashed,
Okay.
and those were the two big. And I remember Ethan. I don't know if you remember Ethan.
Yes.
He's like, yeah,
Hmm.
I remember him.
Um, so I didn't have Showtime. I think we had HBO, but we didn't have Showtime. So I remember like going through the TV guide and seeing the name Queer as Folk, and I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of risque that they have a show called that." Because I was 15, 14 or 15, because I'm a little older than you.
I know.
um, but I didn't actually get to see the show until I was about 18. I remember I was in like an FYE or like a Tower Records or something.
Oh, I love
And
FYE. Sorry, I had to. There's one in
and it
Hot Springs.
we still have one here too, but it's not like they used to be. They're more like Funko Pop and like
Yeah,
nostalgia kind of stuff.
kind of like
Um,
our show.
yeah. um, and I remember seeing the DVD for season one, and I was like, oh my god. And back then, box sets for DVDs were like 50,
We're
$60.
not cheap. Yeah, we're not
Yeah, they
cheap.
were not cheap. um, but 18 years old, still living at home, didn't have any real bills. I had $60 to burn. So I'm like, this is my chance to finally watch the show. And I remember
Mhm.
being so nervous because although queer wasn't really something that was like derogatory for like our generation, like people didn't call us queer; they called us faggots. Um, I feel like we had started to kind of reclaim the word queer at that time.
Not in the South, we haven't, but we're
You had,
unlike
yeah, I
what
never had anybody call me queer. It was either gay or the F word.
unlike what
Word.
Blanche Devereaux says, the South does not always mature faster when it comes to certain things in life.
um,
I was just a lot of the, are you gay? Do you like boys and girls? I'm just like, why does it matter? I was that kid. Why does it matter?
So I'm having like an anxiety attack because I know I'm gay, but I don't think to my knowledge, I don't know anybody else that's gay, and I've never been like out in like a club or anything like that. So I don't know how to meet other gay people. Like the internet was
It's
still just evolving into where you could chat online to other gay, like where they
it's
had
so
like
interesting
sites and
that
stuff.
we could have similar experiences. And I'm from a small town in Arkansas, but you're from like New York City. So the
Hmm.
fact that we had similar finding other gays just shows how different it was back then to find just people like you.
So I remember being online. There probably wasn't a line. Maybe there was one person in front of me, but I remember just being like, oh my God, I'm standing online and I'm holding something that says queer on it. People are looking at me. They know I'm gay. They know I'm gay. They're going to tell the world.
And now you scream it from the rooftops.
and I and I remember like being so anxious, like even like paying for it. Like, oh my God, the cashier knows I'm gay. They're judging me. Like, it felt like 5 minutes. It was probably only one. And then they had the nerve to be like, do you want a bag? Yes, bitch, I want a bag. You want me to walk out in these streets with, like, with a box that says queer on it?
It's funny when the I bought the DVD, but I bought it. I was in my early 20s, but I still lived at home because I was in college, and my college is so close to where we live that it didn't make sense financially to live on campus. But I
Mm-hmm.
remember buying it and hiding it. Like I hit it deep. It was close to the Dante Cove DVDs and the eating it. Like I had a little gay stash because I didn't want anyone to find it. And then just I remember I got rid of it because I was so scared my mom was going to find it. And that was just because
Really?
Dante's Cove, I could probably get away with. I'm like, oh no, it's just attractive people that are on the beach. But the other one said queer on it. So I was,
Yeah.
nervous.
Once I was in my house, I didn't have that anxiety because it just went in my room and that was it. But yes, I remember binge watching the first season and just getting an education. I didn't know the terms. I didn't know what a top or bottom was. I didn't know what rimming was. I didn't know what
I
poppers
didn't,
were. Like,
I didn't either. I learned so much
and then
watching
maybe
that
a month
show.
or two later, same thing. I went and got season 2 from FYE or Tower Records, wherever. Same anxiety online, whatever.
I will say, when I
And
watched it at 12, I didn't know half of what was going on. Like, I don't remember him saying rimming or anything like. I don't remember anything like that.
yeah,
I just
and then
remember Justin Bryan.
at that point, I think I had caught up enough because season 3 was airing, and I convinced my family to get Showtime, but they didn't know why. And then I watched the show from season 3 till it ended.
See,
Um,
I didn't get to do. I watched it when it was on Netflix. When Netflix had all 5 series. Oh,
so
look at me
I
sound like I'm the UK or something. I said all 5 series. I meant all 5 seasons.
so I was thinking about it, and I don't think I've watched the show since it ended in 2005. So it's been like 17
Really,
years. Yeah.
really.
I tried to watch it when it was on Hulu, I think, maybe Netflix.
I
Maybe
know it was on
5 years
Netflix.
ago or something. But 2 minutes in, I realized it wasn't the original music, and I turned it off because the music on this show was like iconic. Because like
It
they,
was.
I started going. This gave me the courage to seek out other gay people. So I started going into the club scene. I felt like Justin, didn't know what I was doing. I was like, well, clearly I have to find a Brian. This show,
Oh,
like I was telling you offline, I think I have PTSD from this show because all my bad decisions feel like they're rooted from this show.
yeah.
um,
I
but
will say
yes.
watching it, and I kind of remember this. I always wanted to be a Justin O'Brien. I was like, oh, I want to be cool, and which now looking at it, you're kind of like, I don't want to be like that. 12-year-old Aaron wasn't sure, but I'm like, oh, I I knew then and I know now. Still, I've always been a Michael.
Yeah. Hmm.
Still reading comic books, watching the stuff I love that I did as a kid. I've just added a little bit of Emmett to me.
I was definitely a Justin back then. Now, maybe an Emmett, but less flamboyant. I don't know. Like,
You a Ted?
I'm not a Ted. No, I'm not a Ted. I don't know. If you ask Greg, he'll say Emmett.
No, you ain't really. No offense.
But
I could
all
see
right,
you as
so
still being a Justin, just a little
older.
different. Yeah.
Well,
This
he
is what
did
happens with Justin.
mature over 5 years. um, all right. Well, going back to the soundtrack, I remember. So I must have. Season 3 was like the height of the show's popularity. I feel like. So the clubs were like playing the soundtrack for the show, and they would play it at like Pride events, and like if you try to download songs from the show on LimeWire, it would say Queer as Folk soundtrack, and like burn to CD. Like,
wow, bringing back the days of LimeWire.
I'm just letting you know what the world was like back then.
You didn't make yourself sound ancient, but you went with LimeWire, not Napster.
Oh, I think I had Napster for like a minute, and then it wasn't legal anymore.
Yeah.
But all right, so let's get into the show now, I guess. We open up at a club scene, and we meet our 4 main cast members. Emmett. I think it was Emmett, Michael. I think you froze.
Yeah.
I hear you. You froze for a minute.
Oh, okay. So you froze for me. How interesting. Technology. I did think it was interesting that Michael's narrating for just like a little bit, and then that's it. We don't. It kind of just stops.
I think he might still narrate for a few episodes, and then around mid-season it stops.
Yeah, this was before the narration became popular.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I've never seen the UK version. Have you?
I've seen parts of it.
Do they have narration?
I know. Oh, I can't tell you that.
Because maybe if they have a narration, maybe they were just trying to replicate that aspect of it.
But that's when Michael's going through kind of all the tropes and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, but when I was watching, I was tired when they said it's 1:00. I was like, "Oh, girl, I'm tired." Like just hearing them talk about being out that late, I'm like, I had been in bed by 4 hours by then.
I know. I remember because I was still living at home, going to the clubs like that, and I had it was either a 1 or 2 a.m. curfew, so to speak, because their house, their rules. But I remember being like, that's just when it starts getting good. So I was able to push it to 3. But yeah, now 1, I'm like, I don't even know what that looks like. I can't even. I used to be just getting ready to go out at 11 o'clock at night. Now I'm taking a melatonin and going to bed.
I'm pro melatonin.
We meet Brian, who is Michael's best friend since they were kids. And, he's promiscuous. He just kind of sleeps around, hooks up with everybody. I remember being so scared the first time I went to a club because I thought all clubs had a back sex room like that, and I was going to get stuck in it.
I thought they did. I thought bigger cities. Although we went to New Orleans once, and I was like, "So where's the back room at?" Like, I was like, "There has to be one, right?" I mean, I
Because
don't
my
know that.
stupid ass was to be trying to play cool, like, no, it doesn't bother me, and then all of a sudden I'm having sex, and I don't know how this happens. So
I've
that's
never
why I was
been
like
to.
really nervous.
I've never been to a club where that happens, and this show is probably where a lot of straight people are like, "Oh my gosh, is this what they all do?"
Yeah, so this is where I kind of feel like it was a little bit problematic because it was like kind of playing into all the stereotypes. But
Very
at the
much.
same time, I feel like with the sexual scenes and just like everything, they were just like very in your face the first season. Because I think going forward, the other seasons, it kind of the sex and everything kind of starts to like lessen. It doesn't go away, but it's not as like in your face because they start to tell actual stories and character development and
Until
um,
Emmett meets that football player in season 4, and whoo,
I remember that. I
I
was like, oh my god, Emmett Date's a football player. I think.
I fucking love them together. Like,
Yeah, because I was trying to
I mean,
remember who ended up with who at the end, and I was like, I think he dated a football player.
yeah, like when they're going at it in this hotel because he's down low, and I
Uh
was just like, "Oh, Emmett, get it, boy."
huh. um, so Justin, I guess, snuck out of the house, lied and said he was sleeping at somebody's house, like his best friend's house.
He lied. He was sleeping at Daphne's, who I adore. Daphne,
Oh, I always liked her too.
I yeah, she's a good little friend.
And he goes down to Liberty Avenue, which I guess is like the gay district.
Hmm.
Um, and he asks the guy that's just like standing on the street, like, where's a good place to go? And he tells him, the different clubs for the different scenes, twinks, bears, whatever.
Uh,
And then he kind of hits on Justin, which freaks Justin out, and he runs
I,
off.
I love when he mentions the meat hook. I'm like, and then
So
when
then,
Justin says all the clubs to, well, I was going to da. And Brian's like, ooh, the meat hook, really? It's like
he's
he
like, you
knew
say
he
you're
was
into leather? And he's like, sure. I'm like, you don't know what you're saying.
I know, like, we don't know Justin is 17 at the time, but they're dropping all these little clues like, okay,
Yeah.
clearly this guy is not, this
I had
is
a little,
more
like,
Theo.
mental, like, freak out because this is 2000. And when he first says he's 21 to Brian, and then he's like, how old are you really? Because you paused. Or he says, what year were you born? And he goes, 1979. And I'm like, that was 21 years from 2000. I'm like, the 70s.
It's crazy.
And now we're like 22 years from 2000.
Yeah.
Ugh, time is like messing with my head lately.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so he's like 21, 20, 19, and he's like, is this like a space launch? And then he's like, I'm 17.
I thought that was funny. I'm like, I wanted to, Brian, he kind of gave it away. Like when you asked if he wanted Special K, and he said he's more of a Cheerios fan.
He's like, I like Cheerios.
That's exactly what I would have said. Because I would not have known what's, I would be like, oh, no, Special K is gross.
It sounds like
But
something dumb, I would say, to somebody on Grinder, because I used to be like, I'm gonna keep this as non-sexual as possible and see like how long they can hold a conversation. They'd be like, "What are you into?" I'm like, "I like bowling."
that was me. That like people be like, oh, what do you like to do? I love to write. I like to watch movies, travel, and they're like, no, like, what do you like to do? I'm like, I just told you what I like to do. Do I got to repeat it? And they're like, no, like sexually. It's like, oh. I didn't do well my first round on dating apps. I did not know what I was doing.
Listen, I was on and off dating apps from 2006 to 2018, or 19. So Same.
You spent more years than I did on them. I was really bad when it comes to dating apps because I'm trying to have a conversation,
Uh-huh.
and they all
Well, they
just
weren't
want to have.
apps at first. They were like dating sites. And then the apps
Okay,
kind of came around.
I was never on a dating site. I didn't start doing all that until there was apps. I was a late bloomer though.
Yeah. Well, side note, this show actually, besides making me feel comfortable to go out and try and meet people, it actually kind of, I feel like, played a hand in me coming out, like me having the courage to finally come out. Um, so this June actually marks 18 years since I came out. That's half my life.
Ooh,
It's
my life. I came out in 2011, so
11
I
years.
haven't I haven't been out long.
11, you're over a decade.
That's true. I officially made over a decade.
Look at you being gay for over a decade.
I know. Look at me.
That's why you got a crown.
That I'm trying to think because I remember it was season 4 of RuPaul's Drag Race is when I came out.
So, are you saying Drag Race is responsible for you having the courage to come out?
No.
Okay.
I finally made a gay friend, and he was out, and I was like, "Oh man, I want this." So I would say my first gay friend was probably one of the main reasons, and then I had like 2 other friends that were very encouraging.
um, I might be giving the show too much credit, but same because I was out and meeting other gay people who were out. I felt like it was like I don't want to be sneaking around. This is what I want, also.
Yeah, I want to say it's 2011 because I remember. Okay, watching this, the scene where Michael has, and he's got the coworkers who are like doing the little.
Yeah,
I hate when they do the little hand thing. That's something I don't know why. It's like they must be fairies. I hate that. I've always hated it.
I've never
Uh,
seen that in real life.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have.
Never.
Huh? That's interesting. So,
They just
oh
flat out
yeah.
call you a faggot. They don't
Oh,
beat around the
oh
bush
no.
here.
Oh no. They included the word, but they also like the little hand gesture. So
No.
he's one of those.
Unless I just wasn't aware of it, but
But I had someone at the place I worked said, "So, do you like girls or guys?" And I was terrified.
were you,
Terrified.
in your head were you like, he knows. Oh my god, he
It's a
knows.
she. It's a
Or she
she.
knows.
And it just made it uncomfortable because one, I wasn't out, and two, like that's just not something you ask somebody. And the
I'll
way she
never
did it was just
forget
very much.
when I was 19, I made out with a guy who had scruff for the first time, and it was a very aggressive makeout session. So like my upper lip got really like tender, and I had to go to work the next day. So I lied and was like, "Yeah, my brother fucking hit me in the face with a basketball."
She'd be like, "My girlfriend didn't shave her lip." Yeah.
Because that was when I was always clean shaven, so I didn't have anything to like buffer that. So it was just like it messed my lip up.
And now you probably love when that feel of scruff.
Yeah, because I also have my own scarf to buffer it.
Oh, good times.
um, so we kind of have like a token lesbian couple on the show,
I have always loved Lindsay. I have a thing
and
for blonde.
I've always loved Mel.
Really, I've
Yes.
always loved blondes. I don't know what it is, but I've always loved them.
Huh. And I tend to go towards the brunettes.
We have types,
Look at this. Discovering new things.
which is weird because Crystal Chappelle is not a blonde.
She
She's
had
the
light
exception. Her and
highlights.
Sophia Bush are the exception.
I mean, I did like Kelly Taylor, and she was blonde. But
Those
for the most part, I usually go for the brunettes.
I actually attract redheads. I love my gingers. Love
You
them.
attract redheads, or you're attracted to redheads?
Both.
Oh,
Like
lucky.
two of my best friend from high school are that I'm closest with red, like totally red. And then my best
Really?
friend is redhead as well. And then I've made other friends. Like I just easily attract redheads.
I haven't had the pleasure of being with a redhead.
Oh, I haven't been with a redhead, but if that's what you're talking about, but
No, I'm just
and
saying I haven't ever.
oh,
I
okay.
wanted to, but I didn't. I guess they're not attracted to me. Greg likes redheads. I always tell him I'll slit his throat.
Poor Gregory.
Love you, honey. Tomorrow's our anniversary.
Oh, well, happy early anniversary.
Thanks. Um, so
Thanks.
yeah, I like Mel because I like her blunt. Like she says it like it is. She hates Brian.
Yeah, she
Hates him.
does hate Brian. I love how they bicker.
Do you know
Love
what
how
it
they
is?
bicker.
Because I feel like Lindsay's that straight girl that happened to fall in love with a woman, and she married her. But then like that they break up and she marries a guy. I know a lot of girls that have done that.
I
And I
know
feel
if
like
you
they make it like known that Lindsay has always had like this attraction to Brian because Mel picks up on that and she hates it.
mhm. See, I think it's the same way with Michael's mom when it comes to Brian. Like Debbie and Mel both see how much these two are just obsessed with Michael or Brian in a way.
Mm-hmm.
It's unhealthy because they let Brian get away. I mean, fuck, Michael climbed up on the side of a building because Michael said, "Get up here."
Yeah.
I'd be like,
So
"No, you're high. You can go down. If you're going down, I ain't going down with you."
yeah. So two things around that scene that kind of were very of its time. When they were in the hospital room and Michael took a picture, it was like it wasn't even a digital camera. It was just like a regular like you had to take it to like the 1 hour
When
photo.
he was when he was going through the photos, I'm just like, man, I wonder if they had 1 hour photo.
And then when they were on the roof and he like pulled him up, he's like, when he was saying he would jump or whatever, he's like, well, that'd be dramatic. Birth and death in the same episode. It's like an episode of ER. um, Also, the websites that they kept showing the guys on, like Ted, I was like, they had websites like that back then in 2000.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then um,
I'm soon
Brian
as
being
the
on the website where he met that guy that was coming to his apartment, the picture like was like loading like a
that
quarter
brings
at a
back
time.
that brings back memories of like going, oh, have like you'd get to the half the page, and then it would freeze, and you're like,
Uh-huh.
no, and you hit refresh, and like, please don't do that again, please don't do that again. Um,
um, so I liked how the next morning when Brian and Justin were waking up from their night of passion. Oh, shout out to KY Jelly. I saw that product placement in the bed.
I'm not a big fan of KY jelly.
Yeah, me either. I didn't like how it warmed up. Too much information.
It's Pride Month. Lube
uh,
is like our something.
what are you spelling?
No, I'm just saying like mascot, maybe. I don't know.
um, Justin's looking at him all like, I love you, like, all like, we're together. And Brian's like, who the hell are you?
I felt for Brian there because I remember the first time, that first person you're ever with, and that you kind of like, oh my God, this must be love.
For Justin, you mean?
What other people? I feel like that's an easy thing that happens.
It is. Which is why I didn't sleep around, because I knew that I kind of associated sex with a serious relationship. Um, but my first time wasn't. I definitely felt an attraction to the guy, but it was mostly revenge sex.
Of course you would.
Because the guy that I wanted to be with was his best friend. And
That's
he didn't want me, so I was like, I'm gonna fuck you, best friend.
That's the soap opera in you.
Yeah, remember when I said I blamed the show for my poor decisions?
I can see why. See,
That was
where
the
you're
Justin
doing that,
kicking up in me.
I was probably bringing home the person who had the fake buns, the fake bulge, the fake abs. That that would probably be the person I would bring home because I used to have a thing about attracting those kinds of people.
I think the logic in my head was, oh, okay, you don't want me, so now I'll make you jealous by sleeping with your best friend, and then you'll want me, and we'll be in love and get married. I think that was my thought process.
Oh, poor Thomas.
It didn't work out. Shocker, I know. It was such a solid plan.
In the end, it worked out because we have Gregory. So.
Well, yeah. I'm just saying that situation didn't work out.
All of those poor decisions took you to where you are today.
There was a hiccup in my plan, apparently.
Just one? No. I feel like our lives, if it comes to dating, that would be like the hospital thing that keeps your pulse, or that's like boop, 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 boop.
That may have also been like me just like, loving Sammy Brady. So like, I was like, well, this is what Sammy Brady would do.
Oh my God.
Or Nicole.
There was a time in my life when I was like, what would SB do? Oh my God, I have a thing for SBs. Sammy Brady. I was like, what would Sammy Brady do? Not a good way to live your life.
But anyway, so they kind of recap the evening because Brian can't really remember because he was on a lot of drugs that night.
I like when he was, okay, not about the drugs, but the way he was going, like Michael said, what did she give you? A, B, C, D, E, E, E. I mean, I know that's making fun of drugs is not funny, but that was funny.
He joins Justin in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a conscious sexual encounter with him. Justin said something like, my mom said sometimes she wishes I was never born. I feel like Justin would just blurt out random things that were not true. Just make himself sound interesting and edgy.
I was thinking that too, because when he went home, I was like, this doesn't seem like the mom that don't love you. She wants to take you for pizza.
Yeah.
I mean, that's love.
Clearly she loves you.
And if she lets you get extra toppings, she truly loves you.
When he came out to his best friend real quick because they drive him to school and somebody had vandalized the Jeep and spray painted fag on it.
I wish I would have been brave enough to drive something like that around. In my head, I feel like I am, but I don't know if I would be. I mean, me now, I'd probably be like, no, what? Fuck it.
I always laugh. I've always laughed, even since like the first time I watched this, when the kids that were spray painting were like, they're screaming the F word at Michael, and they're like, "We saw you." I'm like, okay, you saw me. So what? Take a picture next time.
It's like, I like when they're starting young, like into vandalism.
Um, so the whole school sees Justin get out of this Jeep that has
Now
bad
it's
spray
funny.
painted on it.
You can tell Justin really doesn't know who he is or anything like that because when my Brian's like, "Do you care that it has this written on it?" And Justin's like, "No." But then when they
He
pull him,
paused for like a second. He's trying
it's
to be
like,
cool. But yeah, and even when they pulled up to the school, he was kind of like, because freaking Brian like sped up to it and like
bogus.
stomped on the brakes and they skidded.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole school saw. But then Justin just kind of like pops up and he's like, "So when am I gonna see you again?" And he's like, "I'll see you in your dreams." And I'm like, "Oh my god." Yes, I will.
I hate though when he said, "When will I see you again?" And he went, "You're seeing me now." I'm like, I hate when people do stuff like that. I hate it.
And then Justin doesn't seem, he seems like confident now because he's like, "I don't care that you people know, like, yeah, he didn't remember last night, but he wanted this pussy this morning and he got it."
I was just going to say he had butt sex, and now he has all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm having sex. I don't know about y'all." So then he basically is just like, "I'm gay" to his best friend during lunch, and she doesn't really react. She's just like, "I kind of always thought." And he's explaining like his night of passion, and I feel like he's embellishing. Like he had his eyes closed, and he told me he loved me. Like, no, he
I
didn't,
was like,
because that is a plot point throughout the whole series is that he cannot say "I love you" until like the last season. I'm like, so he did not say that.
Poor Justin.
So she's like,
We've
so
all
he's like,
been
is
there.
he like your boyfriend now? And she's like, I don't know. She's like, do you like love him? And he's like, yeah, yeah, I love him. And I'm like, oh, this is bad.
Watching it though from today's eyes, Brian, to me, Brian's the only character in the show that's problematic. Really,
I'm sure there'll be other things if we continue it.
I know. Well, those first two episodes, just some of the stories he tells about how he went into the locker room, and
Yeah.
just, I was like, oh, this has to be. I was like, this has to be made up. Like, whatever.
So then Justin decides that he's just gonna go back to Liberty Avenue and find Brian again and just relive the night. And Brian's just like looking for his next hookup. Um,
Now, when he took out the ruler, it was like, okay. And then the hookup though is like, go check on the boy. Like when
well,
the
we're
person who
skipping
does
some
it.
things.
Oh well,
So when
we're
he
doing
says he's
that.
sleeping at Daphne's again, the mom's like, "Why do you have to wear that shirt? It's too tight or it's too small." And he's like, "That's the point." And I was like, I feel that because I kind of used to wear like baggier things, and then when I started going out is when I started getting more form-fitting clothes and tighter clothes, and I felt naked because I had never worn things that tight before, and I felt like everybody
I
could
didn't
see
start
every crevice of my body.
when I lost a lot of weight the first time around. I would wear tighter shirts because I got addicted to looking slim.
Mm-hmm.
Like it became a but I thought this is where I was not sure of myself and things like that. I was like, no one's gonna love me if I'm not skinny because of television, movie, like everyone always looks so perfect. And when I lost a little weight, I started to get attention. So that
Mm-hmm.
told my mind, oh, I was right. And oh, it has been something I still struggle with.
I
Making
understand that, and I think that's an issue for a lot of gay men. Um, I've had that struggle. I've done the starvation diet. I've
done that,
yo-yo 20 pounds here and there. Haven't
done
seemed to be able to
that.
do that in a few years. Wish I could, but I remember just always think even how skinny I was, I always felt like I had to lose 10 more pounds.
Exactly.
And now when I look at pictures, I'm like, I would kill to be that skinny. I thought I was fat then. Like I
Oh my
wish
god,
I was that
yeah.
skinny.
When I look at photos of me at 21, I'm like, man, I swear I was like the size of a hippo. Like I just remember my mind thinking I was just huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say shows like this do show the problems in the gay community when it comes to weight and age. Because even Brian, when they
Yes.
talk about Brian turning 30 and being dead, I was like, I'm 5 years past 30 now. I'm
I'm
older than
7 years
Brian.
past
I'm
that.
older than Brian McKinney.
I feel like, I don't know, maybe I just don't care as much now because I am older. But I feel like while that is still an issue, there's something I don't know, maybe it's a little bit more inclusive. Like I feel like if you had body hair, it used to be like shameful or whatever. And now like I just feel like, oh, I like a daddy with body hair now or whatever. I don't know, I just feel like people like what they like now and it's like whatever. But I'm sure younger
Well, I
bitchy
think because,
twinks still are like, ew, you're old.
and I'm just going to be like, oh, do you think you're not going to get this age? Okay.
I
I once
remember
saw the,
thinking I'm never gonna be that old man at the club standing at the bar while like there's like 20-something year olds. So I stopped going to like the clubs in my late 20s. Now I just go to bars.
I remember when I was 26, I had a friend who was 5 years younger, and they would call me old. And I'm like, you're going to be my day. And then I had lunch with them a couple of years ago, and I was like, how does it feel to be my age that you said I was old at? Because he was actually older.
Welcome.
I was like, I waited. I was like, I waited 6 years to tell you this.
You played the long game.
Never left my mind. Make sure I tell so and so when they turn 26.
You pulled an Emily Thorne to get your revenge.
So,
um, so yeah, I really felt that whole like clothing discussion with his mom about it being tight. That's the point. Like dropping the hints, kind of definitely did that. Um, definitely remember trying to like go to places to see certain people because I knew they would be there.
oh my god, I've done that too. It's like, what are you doing here?
I mean,
Not
we're beating around
realizing
the bush. We were stalkers, pretty much.
I wanted to be friends. I wasn't stalking. I just wanted to be friends.
We meet Michael's mom. Mom. I said mom.
My, I've had some moments where like my UK watching my other stuff has been seeping in.
I've been watching a lot of Australian stuff.
My We've been talking to my cousin who is from Australia. She's born in Texas but from Australia. And
Uh-huh.
my mom's been saying, "Oh, she's been saying things like that." I'm like, she'll say instead of trash can, I'm like, she says bin, or instead of trash, she says rubbish. And like, yeah, I watch a lot of foreign television, but I love that because I love learning about those things.
Um, so Brian goes home to like go online to meet Mr. Goodfuck, and Justin meets Michael's mom, um, played by Sharon Glass. Is that her name? From
Yes,
Cagney and Lacey. Um, and we also meet his uncle Vic, who is an older gay man who is he HIV positive? Was that
he
his
is.
story? Yeah.
Yeah, he is. They don't mention about it. They haven't mentioned it yet.
They just
It
say that they show that he's like not well.
He just seems kind of
Frail.
fragile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, that's one thing. I think this show I will. It's the thing that introduced me to how awful people treated people who are HIV positive. Like I hate when people just act like they're second class citizens. Anyone with HIV positive is second class citizen. I hate that. But it shows how far
We've come a long way with
I was about to
that.
say
I
with
feel like
PrEP,
feel like I don't
being
even
being
hear about
under
HIV anymore,
being
especially with PrEP.
undetectable.
Yeah.
I try to make it like if some people I mention things like that if I can, just because I've had a friend or I have friends that are HIV positive. I've talked to guys who are HIV positive. They're like they tell me they would say, "Hey, just before we start a conversation, I'm HIV positive. I'm undetectable," and they're just waiting for me to say, "Okay, gotta go." I'm like, "Why?" With the way the world is today, you don't have to worry about that. But I remember
I
when
had a,
Michael dated uh, Ben.
I had a friend. I was gonna say acquaintance, but she was like a little bit more than acquaintance. But we weren't close friends. I kind of knew her through like the club scene, um, and she was HIV positive, and I don't think she knew it until she was like in her late teens.
Oh,
Um, and then I don't know, she just kind of wasn't taking care of herself, and within 2 to 3 years, she passed away.
oh.
Yeah,
I once when I was talking to some friends about because I had been when I was talking about dating someone who was HIV positive undetectable because I was also doing some research at that time, and I asked them, I was like, would you date someone who was HIV positive undetectable? And they're like, oh, I don't think I could. But she told me she had a friend who was HIV positive because her husband cheated on her, and then that's how she contracted the virus. And I was like, well, would you want someone not to date her because of that? And she was like,
yeah.
no, she's a really good person. I was like, exactly. So I
I
think I
think that
opened her.
comes with. I think that kind of thinking also comes with maturity, because the reason why I didn't sleep around was because I was so STD phobic.
Oh, me too. Eighth grade health
Not
class.
even HIV, just STDs in general, like anything. Um,
My health
so
teacher in eighth
younger me would
grade.
have said no. I would not have dated somebody that was positive.
Yeah,
But once I got into like my mid to late 20s, I started going on dates with people that were. I didn't. It didn't bother me.
my eighth grade health teacher scared me to death of AIDS. I was afraid if I poked my finger on anything and if it bled, I was gonna get AIDS. But this But here's the America's education system. He was a football coach teaching health.
Sounds like Mean Girls, the gym teacher. You'll
Oh
get
my!
pregnant and die.
Like my driver's ed teacher. I've had like just we're all a lot of them were coaches because small town and Friday Night Lights.
So Justin ends up showing at Brian's apartment as Mr. Goodfuck's coming up to his apartment, and Justin's like, "You don't even know him. Like, you're just gonna have sex with him?" And he's like, "You don't even know his name." He's like, "Sorry, Justin, Mr. Goodfuck, Mr. Goodfuck, Justin." And then he
As
says
that was.
George, and he's like, "Sorry, George, Goodfuck."
And part of me went like, you don't know he's a good fuck.
Maybe that was his
Like
screen
he could
name.
be. Oh, I just
I
thought
kept
he
thinking
gave
maybe
him a
that was his screen name, and that's why he was calling him that.
I was thinking he was just saying it because that's what he was there for. And I was like, well, what if he's Mr. Badfuck?
So Justin like storms off crying. Doesn't even like go straight to his car and drive away. He's just like standing outside the door like crying because Brian goes after
I
him because
know.
Mr. Goodfuck tells him to. And
However, though, maybe Brian went outside without his shoes on.
yeah.
I was like, gross.
um, so he has a talk with him and he tells him like, this wasn't anything. Um,
He
you should
doesn't
find
do
somebody your own
relationship.
age, not as old. He's like, you're 17, I'm 28, and Justin reminds him that he's 29.
Exactly what
And
someone who
he's
is
like, all
17
the more
would do.
reason.
Because you could tell where he's like, mother.
He's like, fine.
He plays that part very well.
Mm.
very
and
well.
Justin drives off crying, and I was just like, oh, the angst that's still there. This like it like took me back. I was just like, why do I love them?
Always one like why they couldn't have made Justin like 18. Why did he have to be 17? Because like TV has a problem with doing those kind of like Pretty Little Liars, Dawson's Creek,
Yeah.
they'll see like what is it with us, or not us, but television.
It's weird because like
Romanticize
everybody that found out he was 17
nobody
no
cared.
acknowledged that he was young, but they weren't like, oh, that's illegal. They were
Yeah,
just like, oh. Mel was like, oh, so you and Lindsay both had an infant tonight. What?
which was one of the best lines of the episode. But I don't understand it.
Yeah. I guess
America,
Hollywood's gonna do what it do. Like,
I guess so.
um,
I'm excited for the new one because it looks like we're going to get an authentic look into what it means to be like queer today.
yes.
Because
Is
queer back,
there a promo out for it? Because I haven't seen one.
yes, there is.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's going to be intense. It's going to be set like starting off because I know it starts off with a kind of like how the series ended with Babylon having they had an explosion. This one starts with like a pulse style shooting.
Oh, like a nightclub thing with
Yeah,
yeah.
which is a
Oh,
really
wow.
hot topic at the moment. So that's going to
Hmm.
be
Is it set in the same? Is it like Pittsburgh
New
or
New Orleans.
oh, it's in New Orleans?
So it's going to be real interesting. I've been to a
See, I know
bar in New
nothing about the
Orleans.
new one. I'm just like, I'm going in blind. I'm just gonna accept it and see what happens.
Uh, well, this one will have trans characters. I think non-binary.
I know one
Forget
of the
it.
trans characters, the actors, because he used to be one of Greg's students. And he was on Big Sky, or she was on Big Sky. I'm sorry.
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's about time trans people get some representation on shows that are aimed at the queer community.
Yes, the show was very groundbreaking for its time, but it wasn't. It definitely was the white gay males club experience, and not everybody's into the club scene. Um,
I would say it was whitewashed a lot
it was.
because really no people of color.
Hmm. I
Um,
mean, for its time, it was representation. So for gays, I'm sure they were
oh
coming out
yeah,
to the show.
we
Just
were just like, oh my god,
yeah,
yay!
because
Someone
we
is
didn't.
saying,
We had Matt on Melrose Place, which I didn't watch Melrose Place, so I didn't even get to see that.
well, Matt wasn't gay. Pretty much, I mean, they made him as straight as he could be. Steven from Dynasty was more gay than Matt.
Yeah. So what did we have? We had Will and Grace, which were
Will
adult
and
men, so
Grace.
we couldn't relate to that. So Jack from Dawson's Creek, which basically he just came out, had his first kiss, and then he never had storylines after that.
And then Willow, we had Willow from Buffy.
We had Willow, but again, we're not women, we're not lesbians. So
That's true.
while it was representation, it wasn't something that you and I could relate to.
No, but
It was still a gay. It was a coming out story.
her figuring out who she was, we could relate to.
Yeah, that aspect we could. Um, but like I said, like even this was definitely the white gay male experience club
It was.
scene. They had a like I like to say a token gay couple, but a few years later the L Word came out, so that was more focused on the lesbian experience.
I heard that's
Which
really good. I haven't seen it.
I've seen a few episodes because around the time that I came out and was watching Queer as Folk, this lesbian couple had just gotten the L Word on DVD, so I watched like the first few episodes with them. We'll have to watch that. It's on Hulu.
Okay.
But yeah, it was great to rewatch this pilot again. Lots of memories.
Yes. And it's funny how my favorite characters have changed. So I love like something about Emmett that I just love. And Debbie, like, I remember thinking when I was a kid, like, oh my gosh, I couldn't imagine if my mom was like Debbie, like, just woo, you know. But now I'm like, that had to be like Michael didn't realize how lucky he was.
I grew to love Emmett when I first watched it, and now I'm just like, no, I love you. Like it's fine. Like so, that was cool.
They even said in the episode, Emmett knows who he is, and he doesn't care what anyone else thinks.
It's funny because like I feel like I've romanticized my coming out experience because I just feel like I've been out for so long, like I don't remember like the anxiety and like the struggle, but like remembering what I went through to watch this show, it like all came back to me. I was like, oh god, it was rough.
That fear, like, oh, what if someone catches me watching it? Like,
I've had that whole I don't care who knows mentality for so long that I don't remember what it was like to be afraid.
I was watching Queer as Folk as if I was watching porn. Just like,
oh, same.
You know, like,
yeah,
worried
the volume down.
Yeah, but I mean, honestly, that's probably why I don't know what. That's probably why I had no problem romanticizing Justin and Brian, was because I didn't hear what they were saying. I just
You're
saw,
like, oh, they're in love. They're having sex. That means they're in love.
Exactly.
They're probably gonna get married.
I love the fact that I was, saw two guys going at it. Hadn't seen that before.
Neither had I. I was like, oh, so that's what I gotta do? Does my leg bend that way?
If it did, it doesn't now, I'm sure. The 30s, when your legs stop going certain ways.
All right, well, fuck you.
I'm just going based on my...
Is that a little pep in my stuff?
I'm glad you still got it, because I think I lost it.
But, do you want to grade the pilot?
I'd give it an 8. Like, I enjoyed it.
It still holds up, mostly. So I think an 8 is good. I'd give it like a B+ letter grade. So that's what
I would too. Because there were some things that could have been worked on.
Yeah. But again, this was 22 years ago.
2000. Whew.
Yeah.
Whole nother world. So
they barely had cell phones. I think I saw one or two of the big chunky ones with the antenna that you had to pull out.
Did you think it was interesting when Brian did the thing like I fear the most? If I'm in the bathroom and there's a row of urinals and I'm at one and someone comes right up next to me.
I don't love that experience, but I can handle it. You know what I hate? When, I don't know, did you go to the bathroom at all when we were in California at any of the bars we were at?
Yes.
I hated that it was just like one open thing with ice.
Oh, wait, when we were at where?
The Abbey.
Oh, no, I don't think I went to the bathroom there, no.
Oh, it was just an open, like...
Oh, wait, I did, but I went in the stall.
Oh, I didn't even see the stall. Maybe somebody was in it. And I was just like, oh my God, please nobody walk in. Please nobody walk in. I've only had that experience once, and it was probably 15 years ago at a club. And I was like, they have these here? Oh my God, this is my worst nightmare.
I know. I need a little privacy. I don't know why. I just feel more safe. Like I'm not embarrassed or anything. I feel safe knowing that there's...
Yeah. All right, well, so next Tuesday, we're going to cover the pilot of the new Queer as Folk, because that's when it comes out, same day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll
be a year older by then.
That's the 7th.
I know, my birthday's the 5th.
Oh, I thought your birthday was the 9th. Sorry. Oh, this is your birthday weekend then.
It is, you dickhead. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's also my anniversary weekend, so
I
I'm going
said
away.
happy anniversary. No, John, my birthday's the 5th, and John's is the 11th. So it's almost like exactly a week apart.
Oh, I thought you guys were
So
like 2 days apart.
mm-mm. 2 years apart, age wise.
Oh, see,
You just
my
got
brain
things
jumbled
confused.
all the numbers. My brain jumbled all the numbers, but somehow I still remember the theme song to Sweet Valley High today because that's what I was humming.
That's what the brain does. I can't remember a thing from high school, but I can tell you what happened on days in 1993.
It's the things that make an impression.
Oh,
But all right, guys, thanks for joining us for another episode of Queers and Soaps. I almost said queer as folk. That's going to be a problem. um, join us next week for our next episode covering the pilot of the new Queer as Folk, as well as other Pride content on our socials at Queers and Soaps on all the social medias. And we're going to be trying to cover more queer LGBTQ stories throughout the month. Until next time, have a great night, guys. Bye.
bye.